Okay, good evening and welcome to the December 8th Palmer Town Council meeting. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
I'm going to start the meeting with the swearing in of some of our new police officers, and I'll turn it over to the chief.
Good evening. Tonight, we're going to swear in 6 new officers to the Palmer Police Department. With these new officers, of the new officers, 2 of them are already post-certified and they're coming to us from other agencies. They will not have to attend an academy, all of that is already completed. The other 4 officers we hired back in July of this year, and they have withstood a grueling 22 weeks of the Municipal Police Training Council Academy, and they're here to be sworn in. So with these officers, at the present time, we have 2 additional officers that are in academies right now, one in the Springfield Municipal Academy. He will graduate in April. We have another officer in the Marlboro Police Academy. He will graduate in January. That brings, currently right now, that brings us up to 90%. And there are 2 additional officers that I plan on finishing up hopefully in the next week and hiring those individuals, and that'll bring us up to 100% as far as our personnel goes. All of these officers before you tonight are going to be hitting the streets. 2 of them, the 2 that are already post-certified, Philip Hale and Hannah Calouette, are already in service for us, and they've been in service for us with the Sheriff's Department as well prior to coming over to us. And the other officers, they will be beginning their field training and evaluation program, which puts them right on the street for us as well during that program. So without further ado, I present to you tonight the following individuals to be sworn in tonight is Officer Philip Hale. If you could stand, Philip. Philip is a post-certified police officer. He was previously with the Hampden County Sheriff's Department since 2014. He attaining the rank of corporal. He was assigned, his assignments while there included corrections officer and law enforcement division officer. Next is Officer Hannah Calouette. Hannah is also a post-certified officer. She has been a police officer since 2023, serving with the Amherst Police Department as well as the law enforcement division of the Hampden County Sheriff's Department. Hannah is also a U.S. Army National Guard member since 2021, and she currently holds the rank of sergeant with the National Guard. And next before you is Daniel Chica, Matthew Clifford, Joseph Chartier, and Matthew Bedore. These 4 individuals are in their final week, smile, their final week of the Municipal Police Training Council's Academy. They will be police officers on Friday of this week after they graduate from that academy. They will be post-certified at that time, and then we'll give them a couple of days off because I think they've earned it at this point after the last 22 weeks, and then they will start in the field training and evaluation program. So these officers are here before you to be sworn in now.
Officers, if you'd like to go stand.
You go stand right in the front here. So there's two groups, 3 facing the facing who?
You can face the clerk.
Yeah.
You're good.
So you're going to raise your right hand, and you're going to take the oath now to be an officer. Do you solemnly swear that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the town of Palmer? You will support the Constitution thereof and the Constitution of the United States, that you will obey the lawful orders of all of your superior officers, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon you as police officer, according to the best of your ability and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of this Commonwealth and the United States. So help you God. Congratulations.
And I'd like to call up a gentleman by the name of Nathaniel Pagan. Nathaniel? Nathaniel is, gentleman. Somebody I admire, have a lot of respect for. Nathaniel Pagan has been with the Palmer Police Department since 2020. He took the position of an acting sergeant earlier this year when a need arose to replace the sergeant's position, and he has done very well in that position. Nathaniel has served as an SRO for the Palmer Public School System since September of 2022. Again, as I said, he's been a full-time police officer. He was hired as a special with us in 2020. In 2021, he was hired as a full-time police officer. Again, appointed acting sergeant in July of 25. Currently, he also holds the position of a field training officer. He has an associate's degree in criminal justice. He was previously employed since 2015 as a correctional officer in the Connecticut Department of Corrections. He has a strong leadership potential. He has excellent communication skills, a high level of integrity, accountability, and the ability to mentor and develop subordinates. I consider him to be an asset to our management team, and I'd like him right now to be sworn in as sergeant.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the town of Palmer and will support the Constitution thereof and the Constitution of the United States?
I do.
That you will obey the lawful orders of all of your superior officers and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as sergeant for the town of Palmer, according to the best of your abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So help me God.
I do.
So help me God. Congratulations.
I just want to, on behalf of the town council, welcome you all to the town, and congratulations on your promotion. And we look forward to you all staying for many years to come, and we'll get to know all of you, hopefully, and see you around town in the coming weeks and months. But again, congratulations, and to all the families, thank you for coming. It's very nice to have a room full of people here to appreciate the commitment that these individuals just made to the community, so thank you very much. We're going to take just like a 5-minute recess. That way, if you guys want to do pictures or anything, we give you the opportunity to do that. And then we'll come back to open session, okay? Thanks. Okay, the next item on the agenda is visitors' comments.
Keep the back one open? Keep the back one open. John, keep that one open.
Do we have anyone that wanted to address the council tonight?
Everybody's looking at poor Butch.
Come on down.
Steve Cosmater, Thorndike. First thing I'd like to discuss is the junkyards in town again. I saw something in the paper a couple of weeks ago there that somebody felt it's easier to send a letter to these people instead of paying them a visit, which I think sending letters is a waste of time. The only way you're going to deal with these people is either through an attorney or fines. I've been riding around town and to my dismay, I see a couple more. The one that bothered me the most is the one on Hill Street in Thorndike. You never brought that up. You look at that every day, the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, the junkyard, right?
You talking Thorndike Energy?
Thorndike.
No, I think he's talking about a residential property.
I don't even know who owns it, probably Thorndike Development again.
Are you talking about the house?
No, the junkyard next to the house. Between the house and the gatehouse on the canal. I mean, you can't miss it,
Okay. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think is there a definition of what zoning enforcement?
Yeah, we just need the address. If you give us the address, we'll drill down and
No,
look.
but the address is, offhand, I would say 20007 Hill Street, but it could be 20005 too, I don't know. But that goes along with, I think Thorndike Development. And these people haven't done much to
It's-
clean the place up since we had a discussion with them a couple of months ago. If anything, they removed 2 cars, but they moved an old line truck digger out onto the main road there. It's got a collapsed tire and it's got a New Hampshire plate on it, which you know isn't registered.
So
Another
you're talking
one I
on
noticed-
Hill Street, correct?
Huh?
You're talking on Hill Street?
Yeah, on
Now he's
at the
talking about-
lower end,
On Church Street?
off of Church Street.
Oh, I got you. I think I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Across from 4018, it looks like.
I don't know, those numbers are.
Mhm. Just
screwed
for
up.
reference, Brad. That's what it looks like from the map.
Then I noticed another one on Bridge Street in Three Rivers there, right across from the grammar school.
That's being handled already. Brad can
Again,
talk about.
I need addresses.
That's Bridge Street. That's Bridge Street. The address that we're talking about.
I think that what's important to know is, first of all, you don't have to wait for a council meeting to bring, if you see issues, you can just give Brad or his office a call to bring, to make the town aware of them. And then Brad can put in, the appropriate department, can have them go out and look at it. But also, I think that what's important to know is that a lot of things are being addressed by the town. We just don't publicize what's being done. And so sometimes if it is a matter of taking someone to court or, going through the proper channels, we have to make sure that we're doing everything the right way. And so a lot of things take time. And I know that, this council, as well as the town manager, take everything that's brought to us, we take it seriously, we investigate it, and there's some things that we just are not able to do. But some of the items that you are addressing right now will be addressed. Again, as I've said before many times, if you see something, say something, because the town cannot be on every street all over town seeing all of these things. And so I understand where some things, it seems like, why doesn't the town do anything, especially if it's on a direct route that lots of people take. But I also think that human nature is, and it happens to a lot of us, when you take the same path every day, you end up with blinders. You go on the path you're going on and you're not looking left or right to see what's happening on the side. And maybe that's just me, but I think that there's more people that's the situation for. So, but again, we can't be addressing publicly what may or may not be happening on certain properties. All we can say is bring them to the town's attention and we will address them if we can.
Yeah, and Steve too, just in terms of the education piece, which the council's heard me talk about, is we've had good traction with residents that they don't know all of our ordinances and bylaws. They buy a house, they come to town, they don't know what they can and can't do. And should they review that? Yes, but reality is we know life gets involved and people get busy. They don't research all of our ordinances. So we have, in my opinion, been successful in sending out, hey, FYI, here's our ordinances, and then they've made the modifications. There are some outstanding addresses that are now coming up. I think we have at least 2 that we've mailed out now that are at the deadline of a response time that we haven't had a response time for, but the process takes a while. And I agree, there are gonna be some that we need to really bring attorneys and fine structures on, but I wanna use that as a last resort because it ties up town money, ties up town resources that I'll never skip that educational component because I do think a lot of people don't know what they don't know when it comes to our town ordinances, so.
Yes, but most of these have been there for at least 15 years. So it's not something that just popped up.
But the other problem too is that I've been on the council for 10 years now, right? And I've known, and we've had this conversation over and over again, is that one person's trash is another man's treasure. So there's a fine line between telling somebody that that's garbage in their yard because it to them it's not garbage. So the town can ask questions and send letters and then go through legal, but there is that aspect of it you have to remember.
And I do think in the next meeting or two, there will be a presentation from Brown Legal, who is going to be advising us to adopt an MGL section that does give us more teeth to move on a sanitary code basis, to really enforce, because if we adopt this will allow us to move forward with parcels and actually lien the property for any work that we do. So if, let's say, we tell an owner they have to do X, Y, and Z, if they choose not to, we can go in, make it happen, and we take a lien out on the property. So that's going to be our biggest enforcement mechanism I think we have, because again, it hurts the owner in the pocket, which is not a method we have right now in all cases. The sanitary code adoption will give us a bigger brush and a bigger option to use that method if we have to go after them. And again, it's going to impact the owner solely because it hurts them in the pocket, and that's what's going to get them to make the changes and requirements that we have. So there's more to come on that, but you'll see in the next meeting or two, we're going to have a presentation from our legal counsel, that's going to talk about adopting that, and that'll give us more teeth beyond our ordinances right now.
Okay. In response to your treasure there, granted, one man's junk, another man's treasure. Well, if it's treasure, it should have a roof over it, covered.
I
sight
totally agree.
unseen, different story.
Different stories, I get it.
Yeah,
I
well,
just
it's
know
what
that
you
there's a
want.
fine line there, that's
In
all.
the shed, well, fine, but
Yep.
if it's right out in the open, trees growing through it, around it.
Yeah. Again, I don't think anyone can hear. We can't answer for the last 15 years. All we can
I
say is
realize that, but.
we're doing the best we are to go
Mrs.
forward.
Barry's been here for 15 years.
I look at, and trust me when I say, you can look back at my record, and I bring up a lot of issues, but I am only one person, and I do not work for the town. I am, I'm not here every day, so.
Okay. Another thing, I thought I heard you say last meeting there that a couple of the people that were appointed to the ordinance subcommittee resigned.
And it was one of,
Did I say that? Did
one
you
of the,
say that?
one of the counselors, a
One?
town counselor. So there was 2 positions for counselors, and one person had to step down.
Oh, I thought you said more than one.
No, no, I'm not aware
No,
of more
just
than
one council member
counselor.
resigned from the position.
You are looking for other board seats though, right?
It's open for council specific.
No, not just that board.
Planning board has a vacancy.
But no other, right now, we're good? Okay.
I'd have to look back in the notes. There may be some of the,
I remember you going down a list saying what was vacant, and maybe that's where you
But
picked
you were-
up that there was more than
But
one.
you were talking
Right.
about what I commented about last time, which was the vacancy on the ordinance committee, right? That's
Yeah,
what you were
did
talking about?
say, I'm pretty sure you said two resigned. I don't know if it
Oh,
says
no,
one
I
board or two
think, I think I
boards.
said probably that there was 2 counselors that could serve on the committee, and one had resigned.
Oh.
And that if anybody else was interested, they could step
Okay.
up, they could step up.
Because what I was gonna say is, you have, form these committees and people spend their time putting them all together. But then when they bring them to the town council, you people pick and choose which ones you wanna keep. You don't take the advice of the whole, the whole package that the ordinance team put together and say, here's what we got.
Well, we don't know that yet, because they haven't come forward.
I know, but when they do come forward, most of the time, you people have the final say as to what you're gonna include in the ordinance.
Well, I can tell you that right now, being on the ordinance committee, that there's a lot of language cleanup and things like that going on, but no big, huge
Right.
changes that I've seen or aware of right now.
So the charge of the charge of the ordinance review committee right now, in the charter itself, it calls out that there can't be any substantive change. So that limits that. So what they're doing is they're doing there's a two-step process here. Step one is that they're reviewing the language that is not substantive that they're going to recommend changing. It's cleanup from items that have not gone missing. One is, I always bring this up because it blows my mind, it has them fixed, but there was a change in the charter that we removed the DPW director of having engineering degree back in 2016, somewhere in that time frame. If you go on our town charter right now and look up what's in there, it still has that called out. So that whole thing, we need to comb through, figure out what has not been updated from what's been approved, and make those edits. That's really what the charge of the committee is, what they're reviewing right now on an ordinance by ordinance basis. In addition to that, they're also keeping track of recommended changes that they would request. They're going to be sent to the subcommittee of the council for their review and their recommendation to the council for ordinance changes that do have substance. So I didn't want to waste that committee's time with just minor changes. I mean, we meet every other week. So that was their goal, is that they're running a two-step process. Step one is what they do control, which is they can make the non-substantive changes that'll be given in a report to the council, I think in May or June, for approval. And then also they're going to make a list of recommendations they're going to give to the ordinance review committee, subcommittee of the council. I know that was long-winded, but.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nobody. Next is approval of the November 10th, 2025 meeting minutes. Any comments on those? Have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm gonna skip down to new business, so we can deal with those first. So the first is the appointment of, is it Ken Nody? Is that how you say his name? Okay. To the ZBA with a term ending June 30th, 2027. Did you want to speak to that at all, or?
No, if it's Ken here.
I don't see him.
Don't see him? Okay. Yeah, no specifics. We've had this posted now for a couple months. Ken was the first applicant that put in for it.
Does that make a full board now?
I believe so.
Fulfilling a vacancy, so
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay, do you have a motion to appoint Ken Nody?
I do.
Second. Oh,
Oh,
Carl, Matthew second.
okay, thank you. I didn't look
one.
up.
I think there was three, so.
All in
doesn't matter.
favor?
He's approved.
Aye. Opposed? Next, we have to approve a $5,000 donation from the Leo S. Walsh Foundation to the Conservation Commission to support projects in the town of Palmer that include installing and maintaining plantings and trails and encouraging awareness of the value of gardens, trails, and Palmer natural environment. Jessica's
Just
not
they
here.
had a conflict. They had another meeting going on right now.
Can you
Okay.
answer any questions?
Is that the same guy on Channel 2 that donates money to them, that this is sponsored by him? It sounds like the right name.
I'm not sure. I know the Walsh family does a lot of donations. I think they worked around Herd Evans Park, but I'm not sure if it's
Oh,
the
okay,
same
maybe it's another
family or
one,
not.
'cause that
We
would
wrote
be
the letter to a
nationwide.
woman, so.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say,
Sandy Walsh.
yeah, definitely a formal thank you, because I know they donate
Yes.
year after year for projects in town, and.
Yeah,
if
and not
they-
only this,
if
they
you-
donate a lot of labor hours. I think Sandy's down at Herd Evans quite a bit.
Awesome.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion?
Second?
Second.
Second by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You will write a letter?
Cool.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have Resolution 2026-16, which is to transfer $30,505 from the sewer surplus to Three Rivers Junction structure. And,
Tony, do you want to come up and give a quick background on this? And also, can you give a status of the project and looking forward?
Got some graphics, so
Beautiful.
we can talk through it. I'll take as much time as you need. So we were hired to evaluate the junction structure in Three Rivers. I don't know if you guys want to see graphics, but essentially what happened was when we got in there to CCTV the structure, and the 3 siphon pipes that leave the structure, go under the Ware River, over to the treatment plant. The first siphon pipe that we worked on was the 8-inch. And when we TV'd the 8-inch about 40 feet outside the structure, there was no bottom to the pipe. So camera got stuck, and it's an $80,000 camera. They couldn't retrieve it out. So we had to do some extra work to finish TVing that line. Because we found that that 8-inch pipe was already missing, the bottom of the pipe was gone, we had to sort of pivot when we did the 18 and the 24. We needed to make sure that we could clean those 2 pipes without doing any damage, because 90% of the flow to that treatment plant goes through that siphon. And that 12-inch now is not viable, right? So in order to repair it, we'd have to come back in with an emergency procurement, emergency services. It's in the embankment to the Ware River, permitting, several $100,000 to make that repair. So we sort of pivoted, and on the 18 and the 24, we went a little slower, and we had the company, which is National Water Main, we had them do a full clean on the pipe. So not just enough to get the camera through. We wanted to see what the condition of the pipe was, but now those pipes have to be active. So we got to get them cleaned and divert the flow into those lines. So all in all, it took an extra 4 days of cleaning to do all that. We blocked the 8-inch, so there's no flow going through the 8-inch. Everything's going through the 18 and the 24. They're in fair shape, so there's nothing urgent that the town needs to do today relative to those pipes. We are working on the study to address the structure and those pipes. So that's coming probably within the next 30 days. We are still waiting for some lab results on the concrete to come back. But all in all, the 18 and the 24 are viable, meaning we can line them and reuse them and continue to use them as is. Hydraulically, it might be a little bit of an issue because the town doesn't have the flow that it did back in the 70s and 80s. So we may have to what's called slip line those. So envision taking the 18-inch and shrinking it down to a 12-inch to get velocity. Remember, this is a siphon that goes under the river, so it starts at a high point, ends at a high point, but goes belly. And so we have to maintain certain velocities to keep that flow from settling out the solids and then plugging and getting blocked. That's part of the report that's coming. This $30,000 was for the additional work done on the 18 and the 24 to, in essence, have something to put the flow through, because the 12 and the 8 was not going to work. The original request from National Water Main was $42,605.90. But we looked at the logs. We were out there full time observing the work. When we looked at the logs, we spent a little bit of time retrieving their camera that was stuck in the 12-inch, and we felt that shouldn't be paid for by the town. It should be on them. That's why the difference in the price. The final number for the amendment that we were requesting was $30,505, which is what's on the agenda here tonight. The good news is everything's flowing. It's handling the flow just fine. I think it bought us some time in terms of what's the end goal there. What's the repair going to look like? And like I said, we are working through that. We're looking at 3 different alternatives right now. One is repairing that junction structure by taking the top off, recoating the inside, epoxy coating it, rehabbing it in essence. The second option is putting in a new structure side by side with that. The third option is a combination of both. So we'll look at all that, and we'll be, I'm sure we'll be back before you with a report to discuss the options and the costs associated with it. We did do further investigation upstream of that structure. There's a line that, if you want, I can put it up on the screen, but there's a line that comes down the AmVets parking lot from Pump Station.
Can you put the
Absolutely.
visuals up?
Yeah. You just plug it in?
Sure.
All right. I even have still shots of the pipes and everything.
Well, that's coming up. The 8-inch, how much volume was going through the 8-inch and how much were we losing into the river?
I don't dare answer that question because I have no idea how much was actually percolating out.
Yeah.
That 8-inch carries about 90% of the daily flow to the treatment plant, and your daily flow at the plant is 1.5 to 1.7 million gallons.
Great.
So well over 1 million gallons of flow goes through that structure.
Through the 8-inch that we blocked.
I'm sorry, it's at 12.
All right.
It's at 12,
So we blocked the
18,
8.
and 20, and
Oh, okay.
24. So that I can bring my laptop if you need it.
Maybe.
Okay.
The
An encryption on it.
It's not your end, it's ours.
So essentially, those 3 barrels were actually put in the late 50s by the Army Corps of Engineers. So there was a flood in the 56, 57, I can't remember the exact. 55, thank you. Army Corps came in when they rebuilt everything, they laid those pipes for future use. In 1976 is when that structure and the pipes were connected to the sewer system.
Gotcha.
So they're 45, 50 years old. And what happened was, because Palmer did such a great job in the 2000s to separate their CSOs, right? Eliminate the CSOs, take this stormwater out from the wastewater. What happens is all those pipes and all your pump stations and all your infrastructure was designed for a much higher flow. So what happens now that you don't have all that flow, and just a point of reference, during a wet weather event, so anything more than half an inch of rain, the plant back in the, call it late 90s, early 2000s, would see 20 million gallons of flow come through them.
Wow.
Okay? The plant is only designed for 5.2. So it had an overflow and it would discharge what it couldn't treat. Today, your max flows during a wet weather event is like 2.5 million, 2.7 million.
Because of the
So
separation.
well under what the plant can handle. Plant's designed for 5.2 million gallons.
Now, the changes that we're proposing by going to a narrower diameter, is that going to affect future growth of the system?
That's what we have to look at.
Got
Yes, absolutely. Because even though today your plant's designed for 5.2 and you may be pushing 2.7 or so, the rest is future growth.
Right.
You don't want to minimize the capacity of the plant. You've already got the infrastructure. You want to maintain what you can.
Right.
Right. So yes, that is part of the evaluation.
Gotcha.
And I think what's going to end up happening is we're probably not going to recommend repairing that 12-inch because it'll be costly. It's in the embankment permitting. Cost-wise, it's 16 feet deep. Because I think you're going to find that the 18 and the 24 can be resized for both today's flows. That's the ultimate goal.
I'm
Awesome.
so sorry. If you have your computer, I can pull it up. Sorry, there's a firewall.
No problem.
Oh, the USB? It won't allow it?
Makes sense, but no. Thank you. Sorry about that. This is HDMI.
Yep. One of these sides. This.
That's why we pay for security, right?
Yeah.
I also have security.
Okay.
Let's do this real quick. All right, so let's start with the markup here. Ooh, graphics are.
I was gonna say, is this us or? At first, I did too.
Ooh, that is not good. How come the graphics are so poor?
Is it both
Is it-
TVs
I
or
was
just
gonna
this
say,
one?
I think it's the other TV too. It looks.
Yeah, it's all pixelated. That I don't.
I'm just unplugging and plugging stuff back in. Forgive me.
All right. Let's try that. Need a child.
Yeah.
That is not, that doesn't look good.
I was thinking an IT director. I'll leave that one.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix that.
Got that up here.
Oh. The graphics.
It looks like you're in a different language on the computer.
It does, but it's not, though. It's just blurry.
Just blurred.
It's really
Yeah.
blurry on both TVs.
It's crystal clear on my laptop. There's no way to plug it in there. Huh?
It's because it's a firewall. I'm
That's okay.
reaching out.
That's
to
okay,
him.
Tommy.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I?
You email it to me, maybe.
Yeah, I can email all of this to you tomorrow, or tonight even. Is this one any better? Yeah.
So weird.
Well,
You can
let-
talk through
let
this
me
one,
talk
please.
through
Yeah.
this one. This is the overall. So the junction structure is right here where my cursor is, right by the river. And there's a line that comes from the north and goes along the woods all the way to the backside of Pathfinder and over to the courthouse. The second line that comes from the south goes down the AMVETS over to pump station number 3, which is down by the ball fields here. Okay? And what we found is, you see these highlighted lines? Those are all the lines that we TV'd that we found that need addressing. So, for example, and I can't show you because it's so pixelated, but the line from the AMVETS is a concrete pipe. And when we TV'd it, you could see the reinforcing ribs on the inside of the pipe. So it's
The
wearing
rebar is
out.
coming through? Oh, wow.
It's wearing out. The fix isn't that difficult. It's relining it. So envision a sock. We run a sock down the pipe. The difficulty is we can't turn the faucets off, right? So this is all live flow. So the cost and the trick is figuring out how we maintain the flow to the treatment plant while we isolate these pieces of pipe to rebuild them. And that's what gets costly. Bypass pumping is in the order of $40,000 to $60,000 a month. So if you're out there for 6 months, it adds up pretty quickly. So we have to find ways to utilize the infrastructure that's there while we repair pieces. We will have that report to you by the end of January at the latest, with costs, schedules, things of that nature for consideration. Something does need to happen. You saw the pictures from the siphon structure. The siphon structure now has Jersey barriers around it to prevent vehicles from parking on top of it because it is compromised. There's no question about that. The 2 pipes that are in service right now, the 18 and the 24, I don't think the 24 is seeing much flow other than when it rains. Most of the flow is going through that 18. And by all indications, things are okay. There's nothing that needs to be done on an emergency basis. The 12 is blocked. There's no flow going through it. Whether it gets repaired or not, we'll determine that after we do the hydraulic evaluation on the other 2 lines. But most likely the other 2 will remain, and they'll probably be sized down. So the 18 gets sized down to a 12, and the 24 will get sized down to an 18. And then we'll look to see what future capacity is maintained. Some of it will be lost, there's no question. But like I said, the plant's only designed for 5.2. So if we can get 5.2 over to the plant and live with the 2 pipes that are in place, that's a win. If we have to go in and repair the 12, it'll be a long process because of the permitting that will be involved digging alongside the river.
So I have 2 questions. So one, several years ago, this is the discussion that we had about the junction box that seemed to have fallen off everyone's radar. And so I believe, my memory is, it was Time Bond that came to a meeting, whether it was you or someone else, I don't remember, talking about that, you know, we needed to appropriate funds to do this study. It was the three different possibilities, and because it was basically imminent that there could be a failure. And then nothing got done for a long time.
Well over a year.
It was, or 2 or 3, like, I think, because when Brad came on board, it seemed to have, nobody knew what I was talking about. So I guess my question is this: what happened, whether it was 4 years ago or however long ago, when we appropriated the first round of money, that, like, what was seen as being that this was, could fail?
So I believe, and Kenny could answer that, it wasn't us, but I believe they actually went in the structure for the first time in like 15, 20 years.
Okay.
They opened the structure, went in and saw the deteriorating concrete.
It was spalling concrete,
It
if
was
I remember.
falling, yeah.
The concrete was spalling or something like that, and they said that there was a problem.
Yeah, but.
I remember this conversation.
Yes, but it was underwater, right? So.
Right.
Yeah, so but I guess my question is, years ago, we appropriate the money, because it's, it's going to fail, or something's going to fail, or it's in the process of failing. And now we know that the 8-inch pipe did fail, right?
12-inch
Oh,
failed.
12-inch, okay. So I guess, it just makes me wonder, like, how we went from this, like, we have to do something today, to then nothing gets done for all this time. I don't understand. And then when you're talking about the piping and the different size of the pipes, and now you've basically diverted what was going through the 12-inch pipe you just said that failed, right? How do you do that?
So inside the structure, now, I don't know if I can, yeah, it's gonna be hard for me
Yeah,
to show
it's
it
okay.
because it's so pixelated. But inside that structure, there are lines that come in, and they come into channels. And at the end of the channels, okay, goes into one channel. And you have 3 pipes going out. You got the 12, the 18, and the 24. And they have essentially what they have are dams. They're called weirs. They have weirs set at different elevations that says, okay, all the flow is going to go through the 12. When the flow rises to a certain level, it jumps the dam,
Yep.
jumps the weir, and goes into the 18.
Okay.
Then there's another dam, another weir, at the 18 to the 24, and when that 18 gets full and it rises above, jumps over, and goes out to 24.
Okay.
And the reason you don't send all your flow out to 24, if you're going to ask that question, is during normal flow, there's a trickle of flow. And if you don't have enough velocity in that flow,
Yeah, it doesn't go
you
up,
get
right?
solids and everything
Yeah.
else builds up, which is what we found when we TV'd the line. The 18 and the 24 required what we consider heavy cleaning because there was a lot of sludge built up in the bottom of the pipe.
So I'm looking at the 2022 capital improvement plan for the sewer, and that is not, unless it's the siphon replacement, but I thought that was
That's
the other one. That's down on,
32.
all right, so that, I remember this conversation because this came out, and then due to this conversation about the rate study that we did, this came out right after that. We said, was this included in that rate study? And I think the consensus at the time was that it wasn't a huge issue at the time and that we would look at it in the future, but it was not included in the rate study.
I believe what was included in the rate study is what we're doing now,
Right.
which is the evaluation and the preliminary engineering.
Right, it was the study to figure
Yes,
out
that's-
which option was the
Yeah.
best one to move
I
forward
don't think there's
on.
anything in the rate study or capital because
Nothing in there yet.
we haven't done our part right now in giving you what those costs are going to be.
Right.
Right.
I
just searched
don't
everything
believe
in
any
it.
of that is in the rate study.
I think,
Capital.
I know we didn't appropriate any money to this project yet.
Well,
no,
No.
just the
Just
engineering.
the, just the
this.
engineering.
Yeah, just the engineering, right.
Correct.
What's the purpose for the loop like that? Isn't it a disaster waiting to happen?
Well, how do you get from point A to point B when you have a ravine in the
line?
middle?
No, you can't go over.
You can't go over, it's the river.
Oh, I see, that's what I
So,
think.
Under the
they're
river,
called
yeah.
siphons.
Siphons, I got you,
Yes.
thank you.
And you have numerous ones throughout town. And because you have so many rivers, The only way to get across the river today would be you would hang it on a bridge. If you don't have a bridge, you put it underground.
And so should those have been being cleaned?
Theoretically, the daily flow they clean themselves. Like when you have a good rain event, and you have some flow, that increases the velocity and it sort of cleans itself out. But these are 50 plus years old. I mean, they're not new. They're not new. Should they be periodically flushed? I would recommend that it should be. Does it have to be every year? No, but maybe every 5 years or so. You send your vac truck down there and you send a good amount of water. I wouldn't recommend it on this one just because we know it's,
Yeah.
the condition.
Yeah.
But if, say, it was a new, yes, absolutely. Should be flushed periodically.
Okay. Any other questions for Tony? Okay, well, thank you.
The
Thanks.
good news is there's no emergency.
That's good news.
That is good news.
I do have a motion to approve the transfer of $30,505 from the sewer surplus to the sewer junction study account.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Appreciate you coming.
Thank
course.
you.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Community Development Department update. John Latour.
Send the graphics over tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. Hi, John.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So earlier this evening, we held a public hearing just before this council meeting, and we went over some of the highlights to the Community Development Office and the grants and the status. So if, on the screen that's up there, you'll see the current, the next frame. That's the agenda. So the projects that we have currently that are under management are the FY 22-23 and the FY 24. That the infrastructure projects are coming to a close, and we've had significant savings between both of those two grant years. And our intent is to reallocate funds to different activities. And the FY 22-23, it's the $17,588 for fuel assistance that we are proposing. There are plenty of people that have contacted us and have the need, and we're hoping that with all the approvals that we need to have, that we'll have something in place before the end of the week. The FY 24. The savings that's currently there, you'll see the fuel assistance again, and that would be for the following end of the 26 instead of the beginning. And with that funding, it's probably for each tranche of funding, probably about 16 to 18 families that can be assisted each time. The housing rehab money, we're thinking about 3 units of rehabilitation on an emergency need only for roofs and heating systems for people that have failures. And then this is what we are proposing to, for transferring balances across the 2 different grant years. If you want. Yeah.
So we're delighted to report that over the last 3 fiscal years through this grant program, the town of Palmer has been awarded $3,150,000, and we've been doing a lot of infrastructure work around Hernevitz Park, okay? And John and I strategically put the 22-23 program and the 24 program together as one big bid for both Maple Terrace and Maple Street. And by making it one larger bid, well, we got more bidders, more competition, and we got great bids. So consequently, we ended up with a surplus of unused, uncommitted funds in both program years, both the 22-23 year As you can see, we have $17,000 left that's uncommitted, unused. And in the 24 program, now that we've 100% completed with the infrastructure project, we know that we're going to have approximately $105,000 unused from that infrastructure project that we're looking to reprogram to create a heating assistance project and some housing rehab. So that's the essence of what we're here tonight, is to get the council's approval to reallocate those unused, uncommitted funds to new projects for heating assistance and for housing rehabilitation. That's the nuts and bolts of it. But we are happy to report that the Maple Street and the Maple Terrace project is 100%. We're just holding on to a little bit of retainage to make sure the grass comes up properly in the spring. And then through what we haven't talked about was the recently awarded $850,000 grant through the 25 program that's going to continue along around Hernevitz Park to redo Front Street and a little bit of Park Street. So we've been cranking around at Hernevitz Park and in the Three Rivers Village area.
And
Same
designed
plan?
Kelly.
Same plan, same schedule, same location for building materials?
Yeah, staging area wise.
Alright, just
Well, that's
But
largely
less-
determinant on who gets awarded the bid.
It would be less, instead of,
impact to
essentially,
the park is what I'm asking. Impact to Hernevitz, because there was a lot of construction materials on the park itself and on the island over there. That will continue, right, if the projects continue in that area?
to some degree, only.
Which is fine.
In,
I just
in this context, that instead of combining 3 separate grant years, instead of 1.3 million in project, it's only going to be 1 grant year, so it'll be much smaller in its scope and the amount of material, so it'll be a much smaller
true.
footprint.
Okay. Smaller timeline also,
Well, that
potentially?
It all depends on who we get for a
Yeah,
bidder,
okay,
you know.
yeah.
Some contractors are great, they mobilize with a large crew and they get it done fast.
No, I
and
get it.
other
It's just
projects are
part of
slower.
that cost savings that we discussed,
Right.
combining the years together, the economy of scale, we saved about 23% by doing it, and that we're hoping to do the same thing with the up and coming grant.
No,
So
it just was an impact to the community. That's all I'm saying. There were community events that were scheduled at the park that had to be moved and things like that. So a heads up is great, because I woke up one morning, drove by, and I'm like, where did all this come from? So it was like, wow, okay.
Okay,
We're
so
moving
the
right along.
25 isn't really part of this request, you know, but it is up and coming.
Perfect.
Right, so I guess we would estimate the timeline for the 25 project. Okay, we've got to go out for an RFQ to hire an engineer. The engineer has to design it over, like, I'd say a 3 or 4 month period. And then we're looking at maybe bidding it like early summer, late spring, early summer,
Right.
which is not an ideal time to bid a project because
Right.
everyone's already lined up their projects. So that is a concern of mine. You know, if we don't get a good bid, we might have to rebid,
Right.
you know, later in the year and, you know, extend the project out. So there are a lot of variables when you're working with a limited pool of funds from a limited amount of grant supply. So yeah, the ideal timeline is we bid out the Front Street and Park Avenue project in, say, late spring, early summer. If someone's not busy and they're hungry, maybe we get a good bid and we proceed. And I would say the project could be, you know, substantially complete by the fall of 26.
Sure. No, just
And spilling over into maybe 27, maybe.
Right.
That's the ideal timeline.
to
So,
be smaller in its scope again.
Got it,
So
yep.
that's,
yeah, so the contractor, a successful contractor, is gonna look for places to do a staging area. Yeah, and they're probably licking their chops, looking to ask the town if they could use those little, like the island maybe, and maybe a little bit of the park. But they're fully responsible of bringing it back.
No, absolutely.
At
They did a
least,
great
if
job
not
bringing it
better,
back this year,
to its
right, yeah.
original condition.
Yeah.
Which I think they did.
yeah, well, we have some, again, they're gonna have to reseed some areas because it didn't take, and
Understood.
so in the spring.
Well, we'll
26.
ask of the community and the town and the DPW and different people is, there's gonna be there's some desire to reconfigure that island there over by Hernevitz. So that's where we're gonna want some input and how the town would like it laid out and so on and so forth. And that will be during the design phase this spring.
Sounds good to me.
But that's why we're here, is to reallocate those funds, the 22-23 of $17,588, and the FY24 funds of a similar amount for heating and then 87,000 for housing rehab. So the total for heating, you know, when combining both years is to the tune of like 35,000, which is a good sum, which kind of matches up with what you've got before through ARPA, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so.
So two quick things just to add on to this. The council, I guess you're looking for the council just to give you feedback on these. There's no official vote on the agenda tonight. So you're, I think, essentially just looking for feedback, and then you and I can review and sign off on everything that's needed on that. And then can you go back to one slide? Can you guys just talk one more? Maybe the other way. Forward. One more. Can you just highlight a little bit about what could be used for the housing rehab?
Well, the amount of funds?
Just what programs you can utilize it, who can apply for it, past projects that we heard about earlier. Can you just highlight what that can be spent
Some
for?
of it's, the reason, and that's a small amount of money for housing rehab, it would only be emergency projects, a roof, a boiler, something small and quick in nature, because anything longer than that timeline for the age of the grant, we have to be completely spent out by December of next year, so by contract. So that's why the 87,500.
Historically, how much money has always been in housing rehab, or have we not ever historically had money in there?
It varies from year to year. The 19, 20, and 21 had housing rehab money. So 19, I think they did six units. In 20, we did 17.
Wow.
In 21, we renovated 8. So it varies from year to year, and you have to apply for it. And with 850,000, it doesn't go as far, because the average unit cost is anywhere between 45 and 50,000 a unit. So that kind of gives a rough estimate of where it would cost out.
Got it. And then really quick too, Three Rivers, the status of the blight and did that go through? Are we there? Did we get that designation?
We're working on that. The plan itself should be completed sometime early, in January, I would say. They're pretty close now, but there's a lot of details that they have to tie up.
Okay.
And the same thing, the ADA program. And again, the funding for all that came from the cost savings on the infrastructure project. The surplus funds were already there.
Gotcha.
So that's how we're able to pay for those, that study to be done. And the prioritization. So the ADA is going to give us a prioritization buildings and what facets and components within the town are in need of updating for accessibility.
Perfect.
So.
Awesome.
If you look up here, the national objectives is three primary national objectives. One, used most often, is benefit to low and moderate income persons, and that's what people eligible for housing rehab, the low to moderate income persons, the public social services, benefit to low and moderate income persons. Now, we're trying in Three Rivers to do number 2, prevention and elimination of slums and blight. So the consultant is gathering all their data right now. When they're complete gathering all their data, they're going to want to do a public presentation, presumably with this council and others, And once it's done, a public presentation has been developed. Brad will sign off on the documents and send them off to the state for the state to review. We're talking the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And I'm going to presume they're going to agree with the data that's presenting to them, and then give a 10-year what they call a designation for that area to do numerous projects without having to do income surveys or any of that jazz. So things like John and I, we created a short list of possible projects, which included maybe streetscape along Main Street, maybe the improvement of the municipal parking lots, the parks that exist in Three Rivers. A number of things will be eligible in that number 2.
Is that the same thing as the opportunity track that Three Rivers had years ago?
Well, that's a designation of it's a zone. It's an area that gets a plus, but you still have to have the other components.
I don't know what you're
income. You still have to do income surveys. You still have to do a lot of the I want to call it dirty work, where you got to get into the to the people's homes, and that's difficult because a lot of people don't let us in.
So when Alice was here, Three Rivers, same thing. We went out for blight and slum. And at first I was like, no, we don't want that. Why would we want to call Three Rivers blight and slum? But they had come back. It was a program. It was an opportunity track program that created an opportunity track in Three Rivers where investors can come in and use money to rehab and stuff. And it would be like conservatorships, I guess. I don't know the whole deal, but it was that area was designated that. And I don't know if we've ever utilized it or to its advantage to do what we need
I
to do.
think
in
I'm
Three
familiar
Rivers.
with what you're talking about, solely, focused on like housing rehab stuff,
Yes.
right? Yeah. This is a completely different thing.
Got it.
Yeah, but,
Are we gonna be doing the housing rehab?
well, John used to have a rehab specialist, which he no longer does, which complicates the matter, but we've been talking about it, seeing if there's a way that we could bring it back.
So, and again, it's a proposal for a grant year, maybe in the FY '26. We can talk about the conditions and what we want to see happen.
Perfect.
And a rehab specialist, it's not unimaginable that we'd find somebody.
Awesome.
Pretty
Thanks.
tough, though.
Well, I'm not concerned only in this. I started out as a rehab specialist. So, 30
We
years
have
ago.
one then.
30 plus years. But what's the focus here is what we want to choose to do. And when I came here, I saw the need for infrastructure. And deep-seated infrastructure, the comprehensive type. That's why I bring Chris on board. That's his specialty. The infrastructure, the pipes, the actual sewer lines, the drainage lines, the water lines, sidewalks, paving. We were able to do a lot in that area. We actually got, and I was amazed, Eversource came in and changed out some of the poles and some of the wiring,
Nice.
and so it took a concerted effort by everybody.
Thank you.
And then can you just highlight the domestic violence prevention and then the transportation support too?
Okay, so as part of the grants, in every year, FY '22-23, we've had domestic violence advocate, which was operated and administrated by BHN and Behavioral Health Network, and we had the domestic violence task force, which was a local, more local group to Palmer. And then we had Quabog Valley CDC, which operates and administers the connector Palmer Rides to Work, and that's job-related transportation. So it's door-to-door or curb-to-curb for Palmer residents to get to and from training for employment in general, or anything associated with job-related activities. And it's been going very well. So BHN is not the advocate anymore. We've melded that role with the domestic violence task force. That person, Crystal, has been doing an excellent job, and we're hoping to continue along those lines.
Great.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
If you
both.
have any questions, you know where I am. Right.
Just to confirm, there's no concerns with the transfer of funds for future. Sounds good.
And I don't remember, John, that we ever took votes on that as a council. I think that's always just been the town manager, no?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
But it's part of the,
Education.
well, it's education, plus you need wholesale buy-in, right? So it's like having another public hearing where you get input and feedback. But yes, it falls to the town manager.
Okay, perfect.
Plus, there's a need for it. The fuel assistance alone
Yeah.
is going to be a huge resource for residents here in town.
Well, off the agenda, when the ARPA money and the other funds that you provided, we're in the hundreds of deliveries that have been assisted families in Palmer. It's made a big difference. When you see the people that we see, they come in, they're flat out of money. They have nothing left.
Right.
And so the critical thing is that it's someplace to turn, because right now a lot of them are not getting feedback from the LIHEAP program. They don't know where they stand, whether they're going to get a delivery or not. So it's an uneasy feeling. You know, tonight it's supposed to get down to what, 7? So
It is a good thing though for our community because we're doing it on a local level, even though they have regional help and you know, state support. But I mean, we're doing it for our community. So
here's another beneficial aspect to it, and we link the veterans agent, we link the senior center, and shout out to Cindy Jazak because she's been so helpful to people. You see people break down into tears because of what she's been able to do for them, and combined between the fuel assistance that we have and the counseling and the direction that she helps people with.
awesome.
And same thing with the veterans agent. It's just been a great teamwork
Great.
environment.
Awesome.
So on that subject, the next agenda item is to approve a $5,000 donation from the Mullins family for fuel assistance. And they've been very generous.
They have over the past
Very
so many
generous,
years.
yes. So do we have an emotion to accept?
Definitely.
I know. It's whoever Ashley's writing down.
I wrote Carl. I saw the hand first. Seconded.
Loves me more.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And again, please one of you send a letter.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, thank you
Yes.
both.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And thanks to the Mullen family. Yeah, that's awesome.
Terrific families.
Next, we have Resolution 2026-15, which is the District Improvement Financing District Designation. Sean O'Donnell from West Mass Development. Hi, Sean.
Hello.
Would you like me to stand, sit?
Whichever you would like.
If you want graphics, though, we have them.
No, it's okay.
Because I have the materials.
You've got the
that you
packet,
gave
yeah,
us.
that's perfect. More infrastructure, more sewer.
Mm-hmm.
Great,
Just in case you need it, you can.
thank you so much. Thank you, Council. Yes, I'm Sean O'Donnell. I'm the Community Development and Planning Coordinator for West Mass Area Development, also a Palmer resident. As you remember, myself and my colleague Dan Knappich came here in July to talk about district improvement financing, specifically focused around the Thorndike Street area, talking about the improvements to Liberty Plaza, but also the recent MassWorks application that the town had submitted for sewer improvements. And so since that time, we know that the MassWorks application wasn't approved, but I think looking ahead, district improvement financing is going to be a very important tool for the town to think about infrastructure improvements within this area, leveraging private growth and attracting new businesses in the coming decades through infrastructure. So as we were saying back then, the DIF happens through a two-step process. The first is a vote by the council to approve the district boundaries and really set what's called the baseline assessment. So show what the current tax base is for that area so that we can then project, at each January 1, project what and capture the new growth that happens within that district so that can be used to offset any debt or improvements that the town makes through public infrastructure improvements, which through DIF is really broadly defined. It can be planning studies, it can be engineering and design, it can be physical infrastructure. So coming to you tonight with a vote to approve the DIF district boundaries that we've been working with Brad and the town on, largely focused around the Highway Business District, but also capturing additional parcels as you head south toward Converse School. We included the Converse School property because if that is transferred to a private developer and is put on the tax roll, everything through there could be considered incremental captured growth. And there may be infrastructure improvements that the town may need to be making to help make that private development successful. So we wanted to ensure that we included that parcel, but otherwise it's pretty much in line with the impact area that the MassWorks application was seeking to do for sewer improvements up Shearer and 32 on Thorndike Street. So I worked with Brad to craft the adoption language, and it's really focused on setting the DIF district. Also within the same boundaries, your invested revenue districts, IRD, as well as setting the baseline assessment for January 1 of this year, so that all new growth beyond that date could be captured and used within the DIF.
Any questions?
Very good.
I just had a question. So this is a pretty big area, obviously, and I understand why, but let's say, for instance, though, that, like, the Hill
Yep.
ended up getting developed in some way, and that could be
Off the pike,
across the street
Yep.
from, yeah. So that could be a lot of money in new tax revenue.
Yes.
So how does it work when you have, so that would be part of this DIF area? And then if you had a large amount of money that came in, are you able to then just arbitrarily take a part of that money out to then help support the operating budget of the town? Or does that money, because it's in that DIF area, does it have to stay in like that pocket of money for a certain period of time towards these? So I know there's something you, in your, what you had written, you said you can make, so like if we had a debt payment, you would move the money from the district improvement pot of money basically to the general fund to cover that debt payment.
Yes.
Like, I understand that part.
Yep.
But my question is more, if we had this big project come in and now all that money goes into the DIF area, doesn't come on the town side, but there could be costs associated with that,
Yep.
say police or what, you know.
Public safety, everything, yep.
Public safety, right.
Yep.
So can you just move that money?
So the way, and I think I included the chart of how the funds flow through the different accounts, as long as you are satisfying your debt payments that are associated with a general obligation, special obligation bond that might be called
Yeah.
out in the DIF in the development program, you can move any additional revenues or segment your revenue so that it's flowing to the general fund for general operations. So I don't see any reason, you wouldn't be able to technically call it out as a DIF public infrastructure need or use within the district, but as long as you are carrying those funds into the general fund, there's no reason why you couldn't segment it from your debt obligation and into your general fund for that type of work.
So it's not restricted to the DIF area only, projects to that area only?
As long as you're still satisfying your debt obligations associated with the DIF area.
Gotcha.
So if you don't take on any debt, if you don't bond for sewer infrastructure, but you still have that fund available, the funds can continue to flow to your general fund and be used for municipal operations. It's not like it's restricted to that area, but it does have to flow through that sequence to make sure that it's paying for any associated debt with the DIF.
And John, just to confirm, that's on an annual basis, meaning if we refer money out of that account back to the general fund, that's not permanently in the general fund. It's gonna go back through the starting point again the next year and follow. If that-
Yes, I mean, you can structure, yeah, it could be set up that way, absolutely. Yeah, so, but it would be within the development program, we want to make sure that any public infrastructure that we're calling out and going to be bonding for, that we're
Covering that.
We're covering that debt
Yeah.
before anything else flows to the general fund. So you just need to make sure that you're covering your debt obligations.
Right, so if you were collecting more money in tax revenue than what your expenses were, so let's just pretend that we've fixed everything.
Yep.
We have enough money to cover the debt obligation,
Yep.
and then there's extra money.
Yes.
Every year, you would then be able to reallocate that money, that extra sum of money? Or is it just you, like, so at some point, do you dissolve the DIF area?
The DIF is only good for 30 years.
Okay, but that's a long time.
It is,
so-
yes. But no, yeah, so it dissolves on its own in that sense, but
Okay.
You can do that. I would hesitate to do that because I think especially as we look at this area, we're looking at some big infrastructure improvements and a lot of need that I would want, even if you're holding the money in that fund and carrying it over subsequent years, whether it's the sewer, sidewalks, safety, I just foresee that there's going to be other improvements that you're going to want to be using
Yeah,
that
the
fund for.
only way I see that happening is if there was a big development.
Yes.
Other than the things that might happen below that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Then it totally makes sense that we're not going to be touching that money. It's going to be set aside, and if there's nothing happening today with a debt payment, you're going to keep it there because what tomorrow might bring. So
Yes.
that part I get.
Yep.
I just look at, knowing like some of the estimates that were put on, if that had been developed, the amount of money that it could have brought in.
Yeah.
And so then we're talking a totally different picture, right? So,
I would just say when we get to developing the development program and the the document that goes along with this, you wouldn't be able to call out those public safety improvements as exclusively diff-related costs. But as far as it's structured and using those funds toward the general fund and public safety, I don't see why it couldn't be,
Okay, okay.
through your discretion, moved that way.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
So we're looking for a vote tonight?
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna read it in a second, since Mark's not here. Okay, Resolution 2026-15, DIF District Designation. Whereas the District Improvement Financing DIF Program, established under Mass General Law, Chapter 40Q, and implemented by 402 CMR 3 at SEC, I don't know, authorizes municipalities to finance public infrastructure improvement by capturing a portion of new real property tax revenues within designated districts, and whereas the town of Palmer identifies the Thorndike Street corridor and surrounding area as a key development and infrastructure investment priority, and whereas the town believes it is in the community's best interest to designate the area shown on the attached map as described in the attached parcel list as the Thorndike Street Area Development District pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40Q, the Development District, and whereas the area of all development districts within the town of Palmer, including the proposed district, does not exceed 25% of the total land of the municipality as certified by the town assessor, and whereas the town of Palmer finds that the designation of the Thorndike Street Area Development District is consistent with the requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 40Q, Section 2, and will further the public purpose of encouraging increased residential, commercial, and industrial activity within the town and the Commonwealth. And whereas the town believes it is reasonably probable that the goals of the district will be achieved and that a development program may be adopted in the future to support these goals, now therefore the Palmer Town Council hereby resolves as follows. 1, to designate the area identified on the attached map and parcel list as the Thorndike Street Area Development District pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40Q. 2, to designate the same area as the invested revenue district from which tax increment revenues may be captured in accordance with a development program and financial plan to be approved in a subsequent vote. And 3, to designate the town manager as the administrator of the Thorndike Street Area Development District. 4, to establish the base data for purposes of determining the original assessed value within the district as of January 1st, 2025, as certified by the town assessor. 5, to require that the development program and financial plan, invested revenue district development program, including any tax increment capture formula, be submitted for approval by a separate vote of the town council prior to any tax increment being captured or expended. And 6, to require that any amendment to the boundaries of the development district or invested revenue district shall require approval by vote of the town council in the same manner as this designation. I'll just so move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Do you have a typo on yours too? Did you skip over that? Date versus data?
No, it says date. I think you just read it as data.
Oh.
It's okay.
Is it base data or is it base date?
It's base date.
Okay,
Oh, did
just
I say
making sure.
data?
Okay.
Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure, clarify that.
I did have a question. So within our scope, we have public engagement, and I think that's particularly helpful when we get to the development program and talking about public infrastructure. I just wanted to ask the council how you might want that to take form. Do you want us to present at an existing meeting and kind of talk this through and use it as a listening session for potential public infrastructure, or do we want to schedule something unique for that next year? No pressing date on that. I was just wondering how we...
I missed the start of that, Sean. Can you repeat that?
Oh, just
Sorry.
like we have public engagement within our scope, so I was wondering how you might want to...
We don't have town meetings, so.
Yeah, I'm thinking it makes sense for a public hearing or a public open session to come in and get some feedback.
Sure. We could do a survey as well if you want to do it that way.
Makes sense. Anyone object to that? No.
No.
Otherwise, it'll just be us.
It still might be.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, but this is a program I can't talk about enough. I'm excited about this. This is something when we look down the line 5 to 10 years from now, this is gonna make a difference in building our community.
Absolutely.
So I'm very excited about it.
We talk with a lot of communities who had a big project come in, and then they're 5 years down the road, and they're saying, we haven't seen the benefits from this that we hoped we would. But if they had put in a DIF district or had thought ahead on what improvements could be, you know, what that could have been a catalyst for, I think they would be in much better position. So I think we're, as a town, being very proactive by doing this. And I think
What's the timeline for needing to do that public meeting?
nothing immediate. So I think I'll be working with Brad. Probably we'd be looking to wrap up the development program and present it to you within, I'd say, by late spring.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So we could have that public meeting after the winter, or does it need to be in the winter?
No, it could be after the winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might just pull more people out when it's,
Yeah, I think once
Just the
once
chance of
once like
having it
Liberty
that
Plaza
way.
opens and you get the full
Yeah.
scope of kind of the field, what it's going to be down there, I think that makes sense to
okay.
start that process.
Yep.
So
All right.
we also too, I want to work with. Not only do we have the sewer siphon, we know that's an issue that we can help offset that. I also want to reach out to Palmer Water because we know there's water line issues in that corridor as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Same with sidewalk issues and all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I'm gonna go back to old business. So I wanted to, have a conversation about, at our last meeting, I believe it was, we had talked about, inviting all of the districts to a meeting to, discuss consolidation. And at the time that we were going to pull together the meeting, the only district that responded in the affirmative was Palmer Fire District, or Palmer Water District number 1. Bondsville declined, indicating that they were dealing with a large infrastructure project. And they invited some council members, not all, as the way I read the information, some council members to attend one of their meetings directly to find out what they were doing. Three Rivers declined to attend the meeting, and Thorndike initially declined to attend the meeting, indicating that, I believe, quote, they were cleaning up messes of Palmer district. And so with that, with discussion between, with Brad, we determined that, you know, it didn't make sense to have a meeting with one district. Ultimately, Thorndike, I believe, like 2 days before, potentially, before the meeting was scheduled, did reach back out and said that they would now be attending the meeting, but with posting requirements, that was not able to be done. So the meeting did not happen. So I had put something together that I was planning to send to the districts, and then I didn't. But I do want to read it a little bit into the record, because I think it captures, well, definitely my opinion. But I want to read it, and then I do want to open this up for discussion, and then I am going to ask, I want to bring up another matter for a potential vote tonight. So I was very disappointed that only one fire district had agreed to meet with the council to discuss the future of emergency services in our community. The joint meeting had two purposes. One was to address fair funding for a townwide ambulance service, and to begin a discussion about consolidating our fire departments, both critical to the efficiency, fairness, and long-term growth of our town. As you all know, the ambulance service is funded primarily by residents of Fire District Number 1 with a contribution from the town. However, the service is used by all residents regardless of district, which is why it is not fair or sustainable for one district to shoulder the majority of the cost. We must work together to find a solution that is equitable and benefits all residents. Fire department consolidation has been discussed for decades. Maintaining multiple independent districts creates duplication of equipment, facilities, and administrative costs. Thoughtful collaboration can streamline services, strengthen operations, and benefit everyone. Any plan must also respect current staffing, honoring their experience and roles while creating a coordinated system for the future. It is time to move past finger-pointing and decades of old grudges. Progress requires cooperation, accountability, and forward-thinking solutions. This is not about losing identity or history. It's about honoring that history by building a stronger, unified future. And so I do respectfully ask that, that all the districts, and again, Palmer was the only one that was willing to come to the table, and now potentially Thorndike, but that they would all reconsider attending a joint meeting. I feel that the participation, all of their participation is essential to crafting a fair, effective, and sustainable plan that serves all residents and positions our town for continued growth. And working together is the only way to achieve this. And I will just say this. Over the years, in fact, it came up tonight of, you know, well, Barbara's been around for a while. She's been on the council for a while, so why aren't you dealing with this type of stuff? And I think it's not through lack of trying. When I think back, so the council came into existence in 2005, so 20 years. And yes, I've been on this council for 20 years. And the first council that was formed, one of the first things that that council did was put together a group to talk about consolidation. Okay, so, and I know it's been discussed long before that because people throw out all these district consolidation plans that are from, I
found
don't
an
know,
article
the
from
70s or
1976.
so, you know, this is nothing new, and it is very frustrating that there have been, and I will say this, I'm not going to throw out specifics because I feel like stories grow and take on lives of their own as the years pass. But I will say, I've lived here for my entire life, and over the years, I can think of many times where the story goes that some economic opportunity did not happen because of more than one district. And so, you know, one of the things that, well, let me stop there. Let me let the rest of you speak, if you care to.
I might. I don't know. I joined I thought almost 20 years ago on the council too, but how many years were you guys operating before I hopped in? Because we've always been.
I have no idea, but I know you weren't on the original the first council, but you've been around for a while, Carl. I don't know.
Yeah, we've been talking about it, and I brought up a few times, you know, to start consolidating by, you know, when someone retires, don't rehire, and by now, if it would have came to fruition where we would have had one department now, and no one would have got hurt, you know, by letting go, and it's too bad that didn't happen, because, you know, I respect and love all the firemen, and, you know, I don't want anything bad to come to their careers, but it would save the town a lot of money, but I don't know the right thing. Well, thank you.
Go ahead.
So, I am on the finance committee for the Three Rivers Fire District. And we recently had a meeting, and I brought this up after the meeting was over, and because the Prudential Committee members were there, and I just picked their brain. Good news is that there is a group, there's a representative from each district, and they are meeting to talk about what the future looks like for the town of Palmer, for the fire districts. Whether or not they want the town involved is on them, right? They think that they can do it on their own, and this is only from one department, so I don't know what's going on in all the others. But I can say that the channels of communication between the districts is open, and they are talking amongst each other, and they are working things out, but I do not know the extent, and I have not been a member at any of those joint meetings, so I cannot give any details. But I can say that they did say that they are meeting and that they are talking about the future, but I don't know the extent or the details or anything beyond that.
I think that's great. I do think, right, the town council doesn't have a decision. We're not decision makers in the future of the districts, with the exception of the fact that we are all voters within the town of Palmer, so we all can vote at our, specific district meeting in that capacity. But as a council, we don't have any, formal role in the future. But I think as representatives of the entire town, the intention of this meeting was to be involved and be a resource and a partner in this future consolidation effort, because we also have some subject matter experts within the municipal world, municipal finance. Like, we have value with our experience that we could bring to the table and have a conversation with. And I do think that there's value to us being involved in some conversations about what the future looks like and how, again, we can support that future. For example, right, it could potentially cost a lot of money or sum of money to go forward with consolidation. Could the town appropriate some free cash, some funds, right, to help with that consolidation? Those are all things that we could be a part of a conversation to say, how can we all work together to make this a reality and make it happen? I mean, I was doing some research briefly prior to the meeting, and there's 27 fire districts in the state of Massachusetts, and 4 of them are in Palmer. So 15% of fire districts in the entire state, and of 351 cities and towns, exist within our community of 12,000 residents. And I just, if Palmer's the exception to not having one fire department, I would love to know why, right? Like that, and that's the other thing, right? Educate us about why this continues to be the method. And so I think that there's really no harm in having channels of communication, and in just even including us as an additional layer of that channel of communication. I don't see any way that takes away from value of future, the future goals of consolidation, because I know that I have to imagine that there's that there are people in each of the districts on the prudential committees that see the writing on the wall, that this is not sustainable long term. Also, another trend that we're going to see in public safety over the next decade probably is even towns not even having their own fire department, and that they're going to further regionalize with other communities around them. So it's like, we need to at least catch up to having one fire department as the rest of the state kind of moves forward and look at efficiencies within their own public safety, the way that they provide public safety in their communities as well. And I'll also mention, I was in Great Barrington a couple of weeks ago, and I was at a meeting at their fire department, and the town of Great Barrington also had separate fire districts up until I think maybe like 10 or 15 years ago. And they had a stunning new fire station. It was literally one of the most beautiful fire stations I've ever seen. And it honored the history of both districts that were in that community. And it had, historical artifacts as well as timelines and the value that each of the districts provided within their, timeline of existence. And I I took pictures. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what Palmer could have, right? We know that our fire department, the physical infrastructure of our fire departments, they're aging buildings. They don't always fit the newest equipment. The equipment keeps getting bigger. A new fire department is probably in the future for our community at some point, and I would see it only if we had one consolidated department. And I would love to see all of the districts honored in some way in that future facility. So I was really inspired by that. That's my 2 cents.
The one problem that even since the 70s that we've had with this entire project, and I think that we could, as a town, we can do better, is that number one, the town has no oversight over the districts, and no other district has oversight over each other, right? They all autonomously, they're working autonomously, right? The problem is we need to get the community engaged. The problem is that people don't know what's going on in their district to be informed, to know that, hey, I can go to my district meeting and I can make change. Because we can talk in circles, but we as a town council have no control over the districts. And just like Palmer Fire, even though they want money to help with the ambulance, can't force the other districts to pay. And that's the problem. And that the question would be, did Palmer Fire, before they took on the responsibility of the ambulance service, did they check with the other districts to see, which I don't know, you know what I mean, to see if it was viable that in the future that they would be able to pay in at some point to help out, because they're not obligated to. That's the hard thing.
Well, I think I don't want to speak for Palmer Fire, but I think that they were kind of this wasn't a part, the collapse of Palmer Ambulance, the private service, was not in the long-term plan.
No,
in the short-term
right.
plan. And so, they had to
Step up and take care of the
need right away, right? And they were put in a really
100%,
difficult.
which is what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
that you can't force the other districts to pay into something that they decided to do, which really hurts that one district. I get it.
But, and I think, again, not speaking for them, but, they were looking to run a part-time ambulance service to basically supplement when Palmer Ambulance was not available. That's my understanding.
BLS level.
Right, at BLS level. And so, in a short period of time, from the time they became operational as a BLS department, we, with, really no notice for whatever reason, of Palmer Ambulance dissolving, they stepped up and they became, a full-time department. And so I agree with you that, no one can be forced to do anything, but that's the whole point of everybody sitting down at the table and having these conversations as to what can we do to make it more fair and equitable, right? So that everyone is benefiting from the service. And, having sat at, I wasn't able to attend the last district meeting, but the one before that, people want answers, and they look to the town council for answers, okay? And, historically, we know that, some people do not understand that the districts are separate from the town. But bringing everyone to the table and having the same message and the same explanations and moving forward, and, nobody has the answers, right? So we don't know, I know this, logically I know that, those fire stations were not, they were built for volunteer fire departments. They were not built for 24/7 operations. They were not built with sleeping quarters for their employees.
They were not fire departments.
Yes,
Right.
they were not built for male and female firefighters. So the list goes on and on. And so to Jess's point, I agree. Is there a expectation that down the road, if there was consolidation, we might have, we would have to be looking at one new fire building, right? And we, as far as the equipment, you know, one of the things you hear is like, well, how much debt does District A have, and how much debt does District B? We don't know the answers to any of those things because we're not privy to that information. And it's not about trying to get in there and be like, we, the council, can do things better. It's being able to get the answers out there to people that come and say, why can't you do anything about this? And we want consolidation. And again, that is what was loudly and clearly yelled at the District 1 meeting regarding, why are we paying for this? Why? And has everyone come to the table? And, again, great that you're telling me that people are coming to the table. I don't understand why they can't come to the table with us so that we can know that they're working on something and have a plan so that we can share that with the people that come to us and ask us what's going on. I don't know why we can't have a conversation. Is there a way to make it work so that everyone in each of the districts pays towards the cost of ambulance service? We know Three Rivers is looking to run some sort of ambulance. I don't have the details on that.
They don't want to run an ambulance. What they want to do is work at a higher level. So they have the training, right? They have BLS training. A lot of the officer or employees over there, to say, they have BLS training. So they want to operate at the BLS level, non-transport. So they don't want to transport. They just want to be able to do more on scene while waiting for the ambulance, which they're looking at it as a benefit to the community where they can operate at a higher level while waiting for outside ambulances to come in if Palmer is tied up. That's all they're looking for in Three Rivers.
But if we ran one consolidated ambulance service that they could then be a part of, instead of having it in different areas. But again, these are discussions that I feel like everyone
Correct.
needs to come to the table for. So I don't know if we want to try again to get everyone, whether they're willing to come to the table and have these conversations, or we just want to move forward with potential next steps on our own. So,
The problem I see is that if Palmer didn't fill the need, Palmer Fire District 1 didn't fill the need for the ambulance, we would have had to contract in private ambulance company and taxes would have gone up for everybody in
We're
town.
already paying that amount of money.
No, in general, like taxes would have gone up for everybody to pay for an outside service that we've never paid for.
The amount of money that we are paying, that we are putting.
Oh, that we're putting
the
into Palmer
132
Fire. Got
or
it.
130,
It's the
whatever.
same
Is the
amount.
same amount of private. But people felt, this council felt, that we wanted to give Palmer Fire an opportunity to run the service. They stepped up. They were already in the process. They now are, I don't know, they're right on the cusp, if they haven't already crossed the line, of becoming a paramedic level department. So, I mean, they're taking all the steps that were asked of them to do, which is great to have, paramedic level service, but it comes with a cost. And I just, like I said, I don't see why everyone can't come to the table and have a conversation of how that may work. And, same thing regarding consolidation. There might be 50 reasons that we don't know right now as to why that won't work. But let's just have the conversation. And that's what's missing. And it's like, again, I just don't understand, why people don't want to just come to the table and talk, and why it seems like everything we try to move forward here is just hit with grudges and, back in whenever this happened or that happened. It's we need to move forward. The past is the past. And so, yeah, it's just, like I said, Chris, did you want to talk at all?
I don't have anything to say right now. I would really like to see them all get together and have a meeting. I don't understand for the life of me. We're running the fire departments in this community as they did 100 years ago, when each had factories in their little communities. My concern is for general safety. What happens during the week? And I don't even know the answer to this. Say I have a fire at my house tomorrow in the middle of the afternoon, and I call and nobody is available from Bondsville volunteers. My house burns to the ground?
Probably Palmer.
Will Palmer
because
show? I don't
Palmer-
even know.
Yeah,
There's
they're all
an
mutual aid.
automatic mutual aid agreement in town where if there's an active structure fire, all departments go.
Whoever's available.
They all get
They
thrown
all
out.
get thrown
Everybody
out.
gets thrown out.
Right.
So,
So it's like
as
we're
soon as
already-
we're already there.
So
Almost.
we're already there, but we're running all these little fiefdoms.
Yeah, they
'Cause
all
I
have like
don't know-
different
I don't know enough
accounting
to-
and
I
budgets.
don't know enough about the whole situation
Yeah.
to ask any questions or.
Yeah, and
But I can't see how this is well managed. I just.
And I think that's a part of, I think, the review process. It should be, is I'm always interested in seeing, for the volunteer departments, who's the first to show up. So you mentioned Bondsville, right? What's their percentage? If there's a fire in Bondsville, what percentage is Palmer or Three Rivers the first one on site? I'm just using that one as an example. What's the data behind that? Because I think that'd be very telling of, if you're under 50% of your actual district showing up, I mean, that just shows a need right there.
Well, it's got to be. There's a lot of factors in that too. Time of day is
Totally
number
get it.
one,
Yes.
right?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Right. At 3 a.m., you may get a bigger
That's what I'm
response than
saying.
you
I'm
would
saying
at
2
3
o'clock in the
p.m.
afternoon
Right,
or 1 in
exactly.
the afternoon.
Where everybody's out of
Have to
town
leave
working, you
work,
may get a
go to the
huge
station,
difference
then
in
go to your
turnout,
house.
right?
yeah.
But that is the main reason why that automatic mutual aid is in effect, because depending on the time of the day, you can have multiple agencies responding, and that way it ups personal safety and protection for even your property. Is that if we can get an engine on scene quicker than Three Rivers or whoever is in, and people coming in from out of town and all over, that was the goal of that. Is that we have public safety and safety for the firefighters. Two guys showing up on a truck to put out a house fire isn't the best thing, but if you got two guys showing up on the first truck and you got another 4 or 5 coming in from Three Rivers and another 4 or 5 coming in from Palmer, you have manpower coming in behind you. And then if it's big enough, we call in other communities all around us. So, yeah, there is a plan.
But what you're saying is the response, what I'm after, Matt,
Right.
is what is the response time? It's not gonna be 3 minutes.
It could be. There are people that work nights that are available during the day, and then, but I can't.
It could be,
right,
there's a lot, and I'm just
right.
saying, in the interest of public safety.
Correct.
What we have here in Palmer is a 100-year-old antiquated system where they were there to put out a fire at a factory that they worked in. And I believe 100 years later, that is no longer viable. We should try to get the town together and have a meeting. I know it's gonna be very difficult too, because there's a lot of, without better wording, fiefdoms, where your community, community over here, the community over there, these guys all have their little, should I say it, clubs or niches or whatever, and they don't wanna give it up. I can see that. But we really should try, in the interest of public safety, get everybody together and have a meeting and try to move forward with this.
And we're not talking under the town's umbrella either. We're not even pushing for that, right? Even if they consolidated to one district,
Just one district.
it would be a lot better for everybody in town on top of that.
That was one comment I get a lot of,
Me too.
is that everyone thinks this is town council and town manager trying to take it over.
No.
We are not interested in that model.
We do not want.
Exactly.
We can't afford it. Yeah, we can't afford it. We already did the math. Yeah, you can't under the town umbrella.
It's about under the constraints of 2.5. Nothing
Right.
changes.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
as far as I know, if we have a $50 million budget, it's still going to be a $50 million budget. And if we bring in,
$3 million.
a $3
$3
million
million
department,
Yep.
then we don't have $3 million to cut somewhere else. And so that's, but also, I just want to be clear I am not questioning the service levels that we have in this town. And I don't want that to be the takeaway from the reason that we're talking about this tonight. I do think that, we do have, the system that we have, like Matt said, I mean, we literally have mutual aid within our town. You're right, so, if Palmer, then we know mutual aid within, but then we also have mutual aid from other towns. So all I'm saying is, can things run more efficiently if we were all under one umbrella and we didn't have duplication of equipment? And, and again, just having this conversation, it's not going to happen tomorrow. We're talking years probably before this would even happen. But again, you know, what every district knows about their own district, we don't, you know, Palmer doesn't know probably what Bondsville or Three Rivers or vice versa. The council doesn't know. So like I said, I don't see what it hurts just to have everyone come to the table and just talk about, and if they're already talking, then why can't we just be part of what's being talked about? And I don't even necessarily, I think if there was gonna be a seat at the table, it wouldn't be the council, it would be the town manager to at least help facilitate if needed, or at least to be kept in the loop as to what's going on. So, anyway, I don't know,
Well, prime example, back to that point though, prime example, the water issue in Bondsville when the tank had the leak, right? And the water went down. The town had very little notification, right? And the town is who runs the emergency management services, not the fire and the police and all that, but emergency manager. We have an emergency manager for those kinds of situations that the town employs or has appointed, who happens to just be the chief of Palmer, right? But that information didn't get out. It was delayed.
Yep.
That the boil water, you know, happened in Bondsville, and that information. If the town and the districts were working closer together, that information could have got out to the community a lot quicker. That's all I'm saying. A little bit more communication between the districts on emergencies and the town, and working with the town, not the town controlling the districts, because the town doesn't want that, right? We just want a seat, and we want to be able to communicate, and we want open lines of communication both ways, so we know what's going on in the districts, and we can communicate back to the districts and say, hey, this is what the town's doing.
so next steps, should we try to,
I feel like we've tried, to
Okay.
be honest with you. I feel like I would make a recommendation for the council considering a non-binding referendum question on an upcoming ballot. And it would be specifically, we could work on the language, but it'd be something in the terms of, are you in favor of a review of consolidation? Or, again, we can talk through the terminology on that, but I would make that recommendation to the council of, let's get it on a ballot to figure out,
I think that's a great
hey, is this a
idea.
dead issue? Are people interested or are they not? Again, it reinforces that people are, and maybe the districts will review the data, again, depending on how it comes out, and come to the table.
And I think to Matt's point about educating the public, like that's what this ballot question would be intended to do, is to stir up conversation within the community with the voters, to educate people about how these different forms of government work from the town side versus the fire district side, and really, I think hopefully spark a greater conversation within the community about what, you know, they want their services to,
Yeah,
how they want their tax dollars to be spent, essentially.
all right, I'll make a motion that we add a non-binding referendum question to the June election ballot, language to be determined.
I'll second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next, we have subcommittee reports. I don't think there's any. Town manager report.
Oh, do we have some new business then?
Yeah, you
We
skipped over
have,
some.
Oh, we
the
did an amended
CB
There's an
agenda.
amended agenda.
Oh,
I'm looking at the other.
okay,
Yeah.
my bad.
Nope.
Okay.
We printed enough. Sorry. We have an executive session after this.
Got it.
Regarding Converse.
Sorry, I didn't put it on your desk. I have them over there.
All right, town manager's report. So first, I want to thank Chris Smith and all the volunteers for Light Up Palmer for the great event. Attendance was believed to be the highest of any year so far, and we received many positive reviews on the event. At the last council meeting, Phil had asked about the dollar amount of funds that we received from the state's lottery fund. I connected with Rep. Smola, and he connected me with a DOR rep. What the response I got back was that they don't break down what specific dollar amount of state lottery goes to the town, which I think we kind of hit at the last meeting. What the note they put is that it comes in our unrestricted government aid. So the numbers for the overall state, and this is for fiscal year 25, lottery funds represented $1,067,000,000 of the total aggregate of unrestricted aid of 1.3 billion. So as you can see, the large lion's share of funding that towns get through UGA is solely from the state lottery. So again, it doesn't have a Palmer designation. I know that's what Phil had asked for, but there's no way to draw out that number from the conversation with DOR.
Well,
Another thing that's not being audited,
well, the thing is, I don't know what else falls, like,
Yeah, what else
specifically
goes to
into
funding
that.
for UGA?
That really is the question that I would ask
Yeah,
them, or what are
that's what I was
what are
thinking
the
too.
other categories? Because if they're like very,
Like small.
or things
Niche.
that we maybe don't get.
Yes.
I thought cannabis was involved in
No,
that.
that's
It's a
totally
separate-
separate.
Revenues from
It's
cannabis
separate.
don't go into?
Not UGA.
No, it's literally a
Gotcha.
cannabis line. So that might
I'll
be
follow
the,
up,
yeah,
yeah.
that might be the question to ask.
Okay. The governor officially signed the special legislation for the 5 additional liquor licenses. We are working with the ABCC and businesses on next steps to get these licenses active. This was another topic. Eversource will be repaving the roadway at an 8-foot width in the spring. And we are the first on their list. So that was a lot of discussion on the gas line replacement. Unfortunately, with what is there. Winter, I shouldn't say we own it. Eversource will be replacing any pothole damage that comes from that. They own that. So it's not that the town owns it. It's unfortunate. I think that they had all anticipated to be done well before where we are right now. But they are going to replace it, and they're going to replace an 8-foot width of the roadway. So again, unfortunate. And my thought is going forward, we'll be reviewing all those contracts to ensure that we don't run into this again where we have to wait for the spring. I think everyone would like to have it repaved now and not have to deal with any issues that come up, but reality is that's what we're,
Did they do that for settling though? Potentially.
the conditions have to be perfect. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll, when they dig it up, they'll wait before they put the final overlay
Gotcha.
on.
In the trench, yeah. Good, yeah.
I don't know.
can I ask one question? I
Yeah.
heard different things about where that pipeline begins and where it's gonna end. Do you know the answer
I
to
don't.
that?
I don't.
I
I know the
don't.
work wherever, if you know the start and end point of where it is right now, it's fully covered.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helps you or that answers your question,
No.
but
Where does it come from and where is it going to?
got you. I
It's on
can.
Main Street and it ends on Park Street currently.
Okay.
So
Where the main, where the
How are
main,
they gonna put the gas
the
in?
connection-
where the main
Connection
feed
is-
is, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know where that is, yeah. And the other question of that too would be, is that going to be a benefit to residences who want to be on natural gas? Is that an offer?
I had asked that question originally when they talked about this project. Unfortunately, right now, that was not part of the replacement plan. This was solely for age of what they were replacing. But in my mind, that's a high dense area with a lot of houses that it makes sense for them
And businesses, right?
to put in exactly. So I'll keep questioning on that. But I can tell you, this actual replacement, that was not a consideration of expanding. But it makes sense. You think of how dense that area is for housing.
Right.
They're getting a return on investment pretty quick.
Well, there really isn't a lot of natural gas that goes through town. So, I mean, if there is the natural gas as a resource there for home heating or whatever, then that would be,
And again, you think of that small area that has 100 houses is pretty, it's a small area, so.
Before you go on to your next one, as far as the liquor licenses, did you get a response from Rep. Smola or Senator Oliveira regarding our question of having to be site-specific and affecting economic development
I
opportunities?
wrote the letter and sent it to them. I did not hear back yet.
Okay, and then I, on Monday, got an email from the state auditor's office regarding, they're doing a statewide survey as part of a study on liquor
You got the
license.
same
You
thing.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure. Sometimes, I don't know if you get
Yeah.
them. Okay,
we're
but
working on it.
actually, that's very timely because they're looking at, it said, your participation will help our office assess the impact of on-premises liquor licensing constraints on local businesses and municipal economic development, identify administrative challenges at the municipal level, and gather recommendations for potential reforms. So that is very good news for us anyway.
sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
All right, nope, you're good. Ashley will bringing folks together to discuss events for Palmer's 250th anniversary. It's not really Palmer's anniversary of 250, but it's the Declaration of Independence coming up, so.
Okay, yeah, I was
No,
wondering.
yeah,
I was
we-
like,
Wait a second,
because
I'm
I was like,
Well, I read it, yeah, quick, and I was like-
remember. I was like,
hmm.
I remember the last like big event that we did, and I was like, what? That could not have been the 225th because I would have been 3.
Yeah.
So I was like, what anniversary am I remembering?
Nope.
Okay, this makes
You're
more
good.
sense.
So the goal of it is we'll invite not only town staff members, but also community members. If anyone's interested in joining these meetings, you can contact Ashley by emailing aplace@townofpalmer.com. And again,
Easiest email you'll ever remember.
we'll put a Facebook post out too that pushes all of that. So just because we have had a few interested parties come in and ask what our plan is.
Yeah, make sure you clarify it's not Palmer's. It's
Yeah, well, this,
Declaration.
yeah. No, it's just my note on here. You're good. We're also looking for folks to submit photos for the annual report. So if you would like to submit a photo, it's due by January 1st, and you can learn more by visiting our website at townofpalmer.com, and it's under community events. And again, further questions, you can reach out to Ashley. We'll do another Facebook post on that as well. There are a lot of people that have, I think, really good quality pictures of Palmer that we're hopeful they're willing to share with us. So we'll put that out there again. Just a reminder that surveys are open for both the Council on Aging and Recreation departments. I don't have a number that we have in return for Council on Aging, but I know Recreation was up to 90.
There's a lot of paper ones too.
Okay. It still is very light, in my opinion, for a community of 12,000 people. So we're going to see if the school department will do another marketing push for us, and we're going to do one final push as we get closer to January, just because I think that is very valuable data for recreation that we really want to analyze as we make recommendations going forward for revamping Burley Park or whatever it may be. So that's the numbers on that. And those surveys can be found on our website, and also hard copies are available here at Town Hall, or there's also available at Council on Aging.
In the library.
In the library. One change after we went through Wednesday of before Thanksgiving is traffic was very minimal here at Town Hall. A lot of people, between our contract with the CBA for administrative assistants, they're off the holiday anyway. So what was happening is a few departments, we had folks who were out in the field or department heads that actually had the day off, and there was no one at the window. So what I'm going to do is make Wednesdays, just for this year because the way it falls, Town Hall will be open, and this is both on Christmas and New Year's Eve. Will be open from 8:30 to 12:30, but you need to call for an appointment in advance with the department. And again, solely because I want to make sure that someone is here and you don't show up and then no one is available at the window. We had, I think, 6 people total come in the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So again, those are always slower days, and in my opinion, it just makes sense to be available by appointment only. That way no one comes in is unhappy with no one being at the window to service. Any questions on that? All right. 2 staff notes. The DPW director position was offered. If it's accepted and references check out, the candidate will be brought forward for council approval at a future meeting. And also the treasurer collector position was also offered. Assuming it's accepted, references check out, I will need to come to the council for a reorg approval, because remember, right now it's treasurer and collector are 2 separate positions. This would reorg it where it's 1 treasurer collector, 1 assistant treasurer collector, and it would need council approval. So I'm hopeful on both these that they're accepted and we can bring them forward ASAP. I do anticipate needing another meeting in December for the council, hopefully next week. And it is solely for ratifying the police contract. So this was originally on the original agenda. We removed it because of timing. The union did not have time to ratify it. Not a delay issue on their part. We were late in getting them a copy of the actual language. So they're looking for their council to approve it. They'll bring it to their elected body. Once that's approved, it'll come back to council for ratification. And I'd like to do that solely because there's a lot of adjustments and payments that are made in December that we'd have to then retro those as well. It just makes sense to get ahead of it if we can. And it can be a virtual meeting. It doesn't have to be in person. But I'm looking for something, hopefully turn that around for next week. So I don't know if we want to talk availability now.
I'll finish your report first.
That's it. That was it.
Okay, one thing, so recycling is the first Saturday of the month.
I'd have to look it up, but
It is apparently, and it didn't happen it didn't happen the first Saturday of the month. So I did see, that there was some stuff posted on Facebook. So I went to the DPW page, it says if it's not going to be held, you can go to the DPW's news section for updates, which I did go to, and there was no news update. So I think we just need to do a better job, and it might have been because it was slippery that Saturday, and maybe they were out sanding, which I would say is more important than recycling, but, anyway, I think we just need to do better to communicate. Do you know why we didn't have it?
Oh, there was 2 guys down there for the recycling.
There was.
There was.
Interesting.
And then, we got called in.
For sanding.
Called in
For sanding.
for sanding, why they were doing that. But
okay.
there was 2 guys with the recycling.
yeah, and the main, correct if I'm wrong on this, Russ, the main point of contact that handles the recycling is not even a DPW employee. They are in a roundabout way, but they're not out there. It's Dave, and Dave's not out there plowing.
Right.
So he's kind of always open
Okay,
to
well,
come in.
then something happened, because it seemed like from the post that the person went to do recycling, and it was not opened.
Was it Palmer, Alaska they looked up? Because I've seen that one before.
No,
I
didn't share it later.
Possible.
Okay, I just
All right.
wanted to, okay. All right, so what date next week works? Do you know when the union was
I
supposed to be
don't,
meeting?
I do not. So we can wait if, I guess, is there days that don't work for the county? Again, it can be a virtual meeting, it doesn't have to be, in person.
Everybody can't, oh yeah, I guess they can, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, I can only do Monday or Thursday.
Monday for me.
Monday's a holiday, but
Thursday's a shopping
I
day.
don't celebrate
Oh, wait, is it?
What holiday?
Hanukkah, first day of Hanukkah on Monday, but I don't celebrate Hanukkah. so. I'm just saying, in case somebody does, it is a holiday.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's not on my calendar.
So what did you say, you can only do Monday or Thursday?
Monday or Thursday.
I could do a Monday.
Well, I think it's all tentative on when they meet.
Yeah, I gotta assume though we should be good to go by Monday.
All right, schedule it for Monday then. You good
Pencil
with
it
that,
in, and
Carl?
if anything, you pull it, right?
Good for
Monday,
me,
6:30?
Chris, Monday?
what?
Monday,
15th?
6:30?
Yeah,
What time?
6:30.
6:30.
It'd be a quick one, right? That's the only thing on the agenda?
Well, I may have the 2 other, if DPW accepts, I wanna
Okay.
bring that candidate forward
Well, then it's
for
not,
council.
well, then it's not gonna be a virtual meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
No.
no, it's not gonna be virtual, but I guess, I think we got.
Good thing I
simplicity here. Well, yeah, but it's, I guess the question wasn't virtual meeting, it was gonna be a quick meeting.
I said quick meeting, but you had mentioned it could be virtual.
Possibly, again,
Right.
if I don't have accepted positions.
Right,
And it's
of
solely this
course.
item, yes, we can make it virtual. But if we're bringing candidates forward, but I don't know what I don't know.
I know. So do you want to get back to us later in the week, but pencil in Monday?
Yes, pencil in Monday
So
and
let's,
to be determined
yeah, I
on.
would say reserve Monday and Thursday, if that works for everybody,
Okay.
for a half-hour-ish meeting. Okay.
I count the minutes.
Also, Phil had asked me to ask this question to you, you can just get back to him. If all the new vehicles have been, undercoated,
At least one has, so, yeah, we're,
can you check on that?
Yep.
And then, I guess he had asked for a preventative maintenance program for DPW equipment,
Yeah.
and that hasn't been, he hasn't seen that yet.
Might have to wait until the next person comes in.
Maybe, but I'm just putting it
Right,
on
I
his
gotcha.
list of things.
DPW preventative maintenance plan. What was the last one? Sorry.
Preventive maintenance for vehicles for DPW, and then the undercoating of all the new vehicles, which isn't just, DPW, but all of them that we've bought recently. Okay, any questions for Brad? Anything else on that? Miscellaneous correspondence? Counselors Roundtable?
I just want to thank everybody for coming out for Christmas on the Common, which was yesterday in Three Rivers at Hernevitz Park. I also had the privilege of being at the park when EMVets did their Pearl Harbor Day, I'm not going to say celebration, but ceremony. It was very interesting to know that there was a gentleman with the last name Hernevitz that was at Pearl Harbor who passed away on the USS Arizona, and that's why the park is named after that. And there's a lot of history around it. And yes, it was a really nice ceremony, and I happened to be there to witness it. So yes, it was awesome. Sombering, but yes, I'm glad that we still go out and we pay tribute to the family and to all the survivors and the people that passed in Pearl Harbor. So, but yeah, no. But thank you everybody for coming out to the event, and till next year.
And to thank Chris Smith again, there was a load of people. It seemed like there was more than last year. I didn't stay a long time, but it was just packed with people. Beautiful occasion. We got to do more of that.
You can plan that.
We need volunteers.
You can plan the next one, Carl.
Yes, and volunteers.
Okay, it'll be a rock show.
Yeah, line up your volunteers because that's what we're needing.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'll just echo comments about Light Up Palmer. Again, I felt like it was probably one of the best attended Light Up Palmers. We got there right before it started, and there were already just the whole place was filled. So it's always good to get out. And a lot of times as a council, we're involved in ceremonial things that are sombering, and like Memorial Day or Veterans Day, and these things where we are focusing on very serious and sombering topics, but it's really also nice to be involved in big community events where everybody's celebrating the holiday season and everybody's excited. The kids have their faces painted, and characters are walking around and such. So that was always something to look forward to.
I just wanted to mention that I had the ability or the opportunity to go to the unveiling or open house, thank you, of the animal control facility. It looks terrific. I mean, Nicole and her team have done a wonderful job. Just by walking through and talking to them all, you can just see how much they really care for the job that they're all doing. And as I shared with some of them, sometimes that's not an easy job to do. But if you guys have not had the opportunity to go and see the facility, I would recommend that you do. They've done a lot of improvements, like I said, it looked great.
Best part about it is we only had one cat. So that means we're moving, we're not taking in many animals, and the ones we are, we're moving into more of a shelter for adoption. So it's good. It's good. It's a good problem to have that we're not anywhere near capacity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, with that, we're going to adjourn from formal session. We're going to go into executive session. We will not be coming back to open session. We're going in under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Number 6, which is consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair so declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. And this is for 24 Converse Street. I so declare. Motion to go into exec.
Motion.
Motion and second. This is a roll call vote. Matt?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Yes.
Nicole, oh good lord.
Well.
Jessica?
Oh, she changed.
Yes?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, good night.